Great. So I'd like to welcome everybody. My name is Catherine Stothart. I'm the Director of Events for the British Association of Psychological Type. Before we start with our wonderful speaker tonight, I want to give you a quick reminder of two big events that we've got this year. We are running an online conference on the 21st and 22nd of April. So that's about a week after Easter. And we're also going to run a 2-day workshop in London, non-residential, on the 16th and 17th of June. And that'll be very interactive and participative. And some of us just can't wait to get back to face-to-face talking about type rather than doing everything online. So do look out for details for both of those in Typeface and in e-news and so on. And also, of course, we've got our regular monthly events, the In Conversations that Richard Owen runs and the Type Peer Support Group that Sarah Perrott runs. And you can catch up with previous webinars if you want to on our YouTube channel, which you can get to via our website. So that's the preamble. I'm delighted to welcome you to the second webinar in our autumn series. So today we've got Josh Leach, who's going to speak to us. Josh is a member of BAPT. He's an animator and a type enthusiast, and he recently produced the video that we made on introversion and extroversion. And if you haven't, I can see a few of you are nodding. If you haven't seen it, do have a look at it. You can find it on the BAPT website. And I know some people have been using it with their clients to explain the differences. I think it's a wonderful video. So we're very grateful to Josh for doing that for us. So in this talk, he's going to be talking about some of the tricks of the trade for using social media for us as type practitioners, or not actually, some of the principles and the practical tips and so on. We're expecting this to last up to an hour and a half. It could be less depending on how much discussion we have and so on. But basically an hour and a half maximum. So without more ado, Josh, I'll hand over to you. I will mute myself, but I'll still be here on the camera. I'm going to put you on speaker view. Actually, there we go. We're now on speaker view. So that means, could everyone else please mute themselves? Otherwise we might be appearing. I can actually see Paul on speaker view for some reason.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Catherine. So I'll start sharing my screen. Here we go. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of reaffirm why we're here. We're here to help people who are interested in type find out more about it. And we're going to do that by learning some principles and practical tips. And I learned all of this when I was interning with a record label that would teach singer-songwriters how to use social media. And so I'm going to split this talk into 3 different parts. So first, we're going to set the scene by talking about how social media works. Then we'll talk about common pitfalls to avoid when promoting your content across different socials. And then we'll have a breakout group and come back for like a Q&A to ask about any of the stuff before that. And then we'll go into some practical tips for YouTube because they have lots of tools you can use for free. And YouTube tries to teach you how to get better at using it because they're quite nice like that compared to all of the other social medias, which just like, yeah, off you go. So once you've set up your YouTube properly, you can kind of just let the system do the work. Once somebody finds one of your YouTube videos, you can set it up to make everything else discoverable. So at the record label, they'd set it up so that whenever they release like one new singer, basically all of the other singers would see their views go up because it would bring a new audience in, and then people would start following the web that had been created for them. So also you can kind of think about how to creating a body of work on YouTube that works for a specific purpose, like promoting a course or coaching or a book. And you can continue promoting that like throughout the years, whereas you can't really be like reposting the same thing on Facebook 3 years in a row. So it's a bit more timeless. And later on, if any of you actually have a YouTube channel and would like to volunteer it, we can take a look at your page and point out some tools that you may or may not have used or could take advantage of. So I'll give you a reminder later to drop it in the Zoom comments. Okay, so to set the scene, the landscape of social media is changing all the time. TikTok is kind of where it's at the moment. Like if you go on Instagram or Facebook, you can watch some pretty good TikToks on there. Twitter is looking like it might kind of crash and burn since Elon Musk bought it. And long term, YouTube and Google are going to have to kind of fight against TikTok because they've discovered that Generation Z are going to TikTok and asking it questions in the same way that we've used to Google everything. So basically, Generation Z like to see people in front of a camera telling them information. So that's kind of like just a gentle encouragement to get in front of a camera because it gives people a sense of familiarity with your voice. Okay, so if we want to understand the pitfalls, it helps to know a little bit about how social media works. So they're basically advertising companies and they make money by hosting and platforming something that people want to watch or read, and then by selling advertising slots whilst people are paying attention. They also collect information about us using their platform, about what we individually seem to be interested in, and that gets used to decide who sees what adverts and also who sees what posts. If you watched the Netflix documentary, The Great Hack, they actually talk about how that system was used to influence like the 2016 election and like Brexit and like that. Because of like micro-targeting ads through that process. So it's kind of freaky, but everything is being tracked, like what you look at, how long you look at it for, how quickly or slowly you're scrolling, and that gets used to build a psychological profile of you and people similar to you around the world, and to make a calculated guess about what content will keep people paying attention online. So when you first post something, it doesn't get shown to all of your followers. Or all of your friends. It actually only gets shown to like a really small proportion, let's say like 5%. The actual figure is always being tweaked, but it's basically small because it's testing to see if what you've posted is engaging, because if people see stuff on social media that isn't engaging for them, they log off and then they lose money basically. So to sum up, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create value and that helps build trust. And the pitfalls are basically doing things that drive people off the platform. All of the social media companies are in competition with each other. So if you encourage people to leave the platform to go somewhere else, they will try to find a way to minimize that. So you kind of have to be a little bit sneaky and choose where you're going to live online. So if you've ever posted a link on Facebook or LinkedIn to like a song on YouTube or Spotify, and it only gets 3 likes, and you wonder to yourself like, oh, does everybody hate my music taste or do they hate me? It's probably neither. It's probably had its traffic squashed and they've not seen it to begin with. Which brings us to our first pitfall, which is mentioning the name of another social media in the post or providing a link that will to like another platform will basically make it less likely to get shown to people. But there's some sneaky ways kind of around it that you can kind of offset that with. So one of which is you could post a screenshot of your video on YouTube with the title in it, so people can see what's there and then they can go off in their own time and log in and search for it. And then the other example I've got here is a tweet from Personality Hacker, who they've put like a lot of work into their marketing recently, and they make some really great podcasts. So I definitely recommend checking them out. This is a good tweet basically because it's got a thoughtful quote with a graphic and a headshot. Sometimes they use a clip, but it has a link to the full episode. But interestingly, I never see these tweets when I'm scrolling on my laptop, where the link would give me an opportunity to kind of click away from the platform. I'm more likely to see them on my mobile. And I kind of wonder if, I don't think it's that big a deal, but I do wonder if Twitter is not showing it on desktops on purpose, because Facebook definitely squashes traffic to YouTube.
I'm doing a webinar.
Oh, 1 minute.
Okay, sorry, Mary, could you mute yourself, please?
All good. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically, it's better to have an online presence broadly, because you're casting a net. And I'll usually like see these and then I'll like listen on Spotify, because Spotify won't interrupt longer content with adverts. So that's something to consider if you want to create longer form content, basically. When it comes to posting on like all the other social medias, there's kind of two opposite strategies that you can use to address this. You could upload the video directly to each platform, because then there's no conflict of interest between it going from one platform to the next. But I would recommend posting clips of your video elsewhere to get people to go to YouTube for the full thing, because it then becomes easier to link all of your other content together. So pitfall number 2 is uploading a duplicate video to the same platform twice. So I was talking to Catherine about this the other day, and she was saying like, if we upload this video, is it good to put it like on my page and BAPS? And actually that's not a good thing to do, because they have algorithms that will spot, oh, hey, they're kind of trying to spam this or get out of like paying for advertising. So they'll squash both videos from being seen by people. So pitfall 3, we've probably all done this one, which is just asking your friends to support your page. And this is kind of weird, because essentially you'll attract the wrong kind of attention by asking people directly to support your page, because people will want to support you, but longer term, if they're not like really engaged with your content, the way that they interact with it is going to affect whether it's seen as engaging or not. So you basically kind of want to trust the algorithms to do the work, so that you can find the people who are like really engaged with your stuff, not necessarily just your closest circle, unless you've got a tribe of people who are committed to supporting each other specifically, but you actually have to give it your genuine engagement to work. Like if you just click like or like comment like love this, amazing, the platform can basically see that you're not really paying that much attention, and it goes, oh, okay, interesting. So comments are way more valuable to social media than likes, and it's because comments can be used to collect information about the people who are using the platform. Like all of that can be used to like work out who should be seeing what adverts and stuff like that. So by generating discussion or asking a question when you're sharing your content, that's a really good way of getting it seen by more people, basically. So I follow an ENTP on Twitter called Visa, who I love, and he's got this great quote about replying, and he calls it practicing good reply game. So I think he kind of figured this out with like his FE and TI put together. So there's an art to replying and commenting, and probably like 60 to 70% of people I've seen on the internet fail at it. The important thing is not to speak your mind, but to support the original poster. You can support them by disagreeing well, and you can missupport them by agreeing stupidly. Every utterance or status tweet or whatever is a bit of an invitation or a proposal to say, let's play this game. And when strangers read the proposal accurately and support the game, a shared understanding develops, and you can make friends this way. So yeah, trust the algorithms to find the people who need it. But that kind of brings us to pitfall number 4, which is not using forums, because forums have already got people who've indicated that they're interested in something about that topic. So it's basically like hacking free advertising in a way. So posting to a typology group would be better than just posting to your followers. Reddit is really good for this. If you were to make a video about INFPs, you can go to a Reddit forum and say, hey, does this match your experience? And you'll get a bunch of INFPs commenting like, oh yeah, well, no, this isn't really me. And then pitfall number 5 is not making your video release into an event. You're allowed to celebrate it and build anticipation. And if you can get like a certain threshold of views within a certain amount of time, that gives your video the possibility of going viral and being recommended to other people. Back when I was interning, it was like 300 views in 24 hours. That figure has probably changed. It's probably out of date, but it's still like enough views to think about like, oh, how would I get a big group of people to kind of see this like within a short period of time. So I would recommend like posting like ahead of time, like maybe on Monday and then Wednesday and then releasing on Friday, because it kind of gets the algorithms warmed up to the fact that you're creating things and being an active user. Okay, and now we're going to go to breakout groups, and I have 2 prompts for you, which is just to kind of talk a bit about what you learned, what you've taken away from it so far, and then as a group, just to come up with any questions about what you're left wondering about. And if you don't, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my knowledge, and if I don't know, I'll just say.
Josh, one quick question.
Yeah.
Did you want to do a poll of what platforms people are familiar with?
Yes, I completely forgot about that.
That's all right.
No.
That's all right. So I'm going to say, I'll put the poll up. So this was all the various platforms that Josh came up with. So you should see a poll on your screen now, and you can tick as many as you use. I don't think I can actually answer it now. I don't think I can. But Facebook is looking quite strong there.
Yep.
Facebook and LinkedIn seem to be the biggest at the moment. Then YouTube, then Twitter. Reddit and Spotify, not so much, I would say.
Only one other person has been watching TikTok. That's good. That means nobody else's brains has been rotted yet.
So I'll end the poll, and then we should see the results on the screen. I think you should be able to see these results on your screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Can everyone see those results? Give me a thumb. Yeah, good, great, thanks. So there we go. I'll stop sharing. So Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, top ones, and Twitter, and as you said, only one person on TikTok. That probably reflects the age profile of this group, I suspect, Josh.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sort out the breakout groups. So should we have 3 breakout groups? We've got 9 people, so 3 groups. Do you think, Josh?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay. So you'll get an invitation to join a breakout group, and we'll give you about 5 minutes. And the basic question is up on the slide there. You know, Josh has given you a very quick overview. So discuss what you, whatever you want to really, but as a group then come up with some questions for Josh, because we want this to be interactive. We want you to find out what you need to know rather than what Josh wants to tell you about. So yeah, come up with some questions. We'll give you about 5 minutes. Are there any questions about what I'm asking you to do? If there are, just unmute and speak. I think some people have already gone off to the breakout groups actually. So great. We'll see you in about 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
So so Tam's in, Nathan, yeah. Right, Valerie, Valerie's about to go to a breakout group, I suspect. Yep, just leaving you and me. Great.
Okay, nice.
I've got a little message on my screen. Let me get rid of that message. Let me see what the time is. Right, it's 19:24. I'll just write that down because I haven't set a time as such on the system. I'll just we'll call them back when we're ready, basically.
Okay, sure.
Good.
Oh, okay. I think that went well.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you threw inside, scribbled down, as I said to you, I wanted to, because I want to learn here tonight as well. So I scribbled down various things. But I'm sure if I was in a breakout group now, I'd be wanting to check on some of them, make sure I've understood them properly and so on. So yeah, yeah, good. Yeah, so a bit lower on numbers. That is no reflection on the topic or on you. People do, you know, we find this, people like the topic and they sign up. And then on the night, something happens, they're too tired, you know, all that sort of thing happens.
Yeah, I did the same thing with another Zoom webinar, yesterday. Because like I knew that they were going to send a recording, so I was like, oh, I don't need to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that you then watch the recording though or not?
It's like it varies. Like I haven't I've made a concerted effort to be on Zoom a little bit less. But like yeah, it depends. Sometimes I'll just like skip through it.
Yeah.
But I think I definitely, when I actually show up to the day, I definitely I pay more attention.
Yes.
There's something about it happening
Oh,
like in real time.
I haven't stopped the recording. I'm sorry. I'll just stop the record. Just start recording. Great. Well, I hope you had enough time to think about some questions for Josh. So I'm going to ask each group what questions they've got, and we'll do one group at a time. So group one was Chris, Lionel, and Teresa. So what questions did you have for Josh?
One question was, if a Facebook person has set up a secondary page for an organization, how can they hand over ownership of that page to somebody else?
Okay. So there
or is it not
be...
possible?
No, it is possible. There should be I think in the settings feature of that page. That's something I can look up and get back to you on. But
I know I can share management of the page, but to actually transfer ownership would be good.
Yeah, I think there is a way to do that. I don't know the details of it, but I can.
Okay.
Lovely.
We can chat after if you like.
Or as Josh said, we'll see how the questions go. But as Josh said, maybe we'll have a few questions that we can't answer tonight, but he might be prepared to come back to us on.
Yeah.
So that would be great. Yeah. What other questions did you have in that group, Chris, Teresa, and Lionel?
We were wondering about Reddit because it's something we're less familiar with. Even if sometime by Googling information, I find information on Reddit, but I'm not sure how and if I should be using it to promote type.
Yeah, so Reddit is very active, and it's one of the largest growing social medias. And I think they did a poll across the Reddit website to find out what the type composition was. And it's nearly all like INFPs and INTPs, and then a couple of INTJs thrown into the mix.
Yes.
So it's just the stereotype of internet nerds on forums, getting together. So I think it's definitely worth using. We shared the introversion extroversion video to Reddit and got several hundred of the views just coming from that site alone. And you can post into multiple different forums with different captions, so as it doesn't quite look like you're spamming the thing, because you're asking different things. And then you can see whether people vote up or vote down your content. And I tried to be a little bit sneaky and posted it into the INTP chat and was like, "Ooh, see if you can, guess what the cognitive functions are." And I think they just saw that and were like, "Oh, this is so patronizing," and they downvoted it. Whereas in the INFP group, everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is so beautiful, I love it."
Well, I know we have a few INTPs here tonight, myself included, so I've got a bit of Yes, I can
Yeah.
relate to that.
Can I just add something about Reddit? There's lots of typology groups on Reddit, and I usually go. That's the one. If I recall correctly, it's the one place where you can actually post link. It doesn't sort of you can post it without suffering any kind of algorithmic consequences. Post a link to a video and things like that.
Yes. So like I had a couple of I played around with it, and I found that it was better to post a picture or like a screenshot of the thing, but then there's an opportunity to put a link inside of it, or I would comment the link as like the first comment, and generally that seemed to work. But when I would just put the link in and of itself, that tended to be when it wasn't getting the most engagement. So I think it does have a little bit of a squashing.
Okay, so were there any other questions from group one, from Chris, Lionel and Teresa?
Can I just ask a question about time commitment, really, in relation to what you want to get out of it? It sounds like certainly a part-time job, if not a full-time job, to really access all these channels and capitalize on them. And I'm just not sure whether individually we all want to get different things out of social media, but what's the payback, and is it really worth it for what we're trying to achieve?
So I don't necessarily know what it is you're specifically trying to achieve, but with YouTube, essentially what you're doing is you're building trust online with people, and that pays off in however you set it up, that you're promoting or talking about sharing your content. I'd say if people were thinking about what content ideas they wanted to create, I'd recommend just journaling, because you will have thoughts about type that you want to share, that you can just journal, and then you can just read out to a camera, and you can just have it as just filming yourself basically, and then that allows your audience to get used to your voice, used to your face, and then going from there basically.
Because if I can sort of ask a supplementary question, I'm conscious of you talked about the different generations, and the Gen Z are using TikTok. I anticipate that a lot of old people are not going to be the sort of necessarily. I mean, I'm not trying to be ageist, but I'm just aware of the generation gap, and you can put information out on YouTube, and I totally agree with you that if you've got something, put it out on YouTube. That makes sense. But all the work on the social media, we might not be working in the right medium.
Yes, I wouldn't recommend trying to learn how to use TikTok from scratch if that's the situation that you're in. I mean, and there's already people who've got really good at making TikToks, and they're also kind of dominating the platform in different ways. So I think it's better to, like we say, publish on YouTube just for the sake of having your own online presence, and you don't really need to worry about TikTok so much, really.
Because the other way around it is to just stick loads of video images in and not actually show your own face.
Yes, you could do that if you wanted to. I mean, it's going to be a shift more much longer term in terms of the way that people like to consume content. And then, to be honest, AI is probably going to change everything again. When that kind of comes around in full force. But it's hard to predict how that's going to play out.
But YouTube is the core that other things can access, and therefore that's the one definitely worth building up your own little bookshelf.
Yeah, it's definitely worth kind of growing your own garden with your content there, because you can use it for hosting on your own website. You can use it for email campaigns, and if you show somebody a video that you've posted 3 years ago, that's totally fine compared to saying hey, look at this old tweet that I made 3 years ago. You can't continually yeah, like YouTube is better because once you've done it, like you've done it, and you're thinking about like the collection of work that you're creating rather than just trying to perpetually post all the time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Josh. So let's go on to group 2, I think, which was John, Paul and Tamsin. What questions did you have for Josh?
Tamsin had one about LinkedIn, and if you don't, would you want to talk about that,
Yeah, no,
Tamsin?
it was just that I had been told, and it was quite some time ago, that one of the ways to try and increase engagement when people go off of the LinkedIn site was to put the post in, but then edit it later and then add in the link you wanted people to do. I don't know if that's no longer the case or not, or whether or not that's still a useful way to ensure that you sort of can take people elsewhere.
Yes, so when I was interning with the record label, they suggested that as a way of basically you like leave it for 3 days and then you edit the post to include the link after it's got all of the engagement. I don't know if that's still up to date or if they would have changed that, but like yes, that is something that you can do and has worked.
Thank you.
We had a linked question about, is there a particular time of day or day of the week when it's better to post things?
I think like yes, I think it changes. Like it's changing all the time. So like checking like on Google what the trends are, but also posting regularly in your own rhythm is probably a better way of going about it, because like the algorithms kind of warm up to be like, oh, we're kind of expecting something from you, so we're getting ready to like push your content out.
Okay.
Josh, I had a question about Vimeo. I've used that too, and I just don't know why anybody would. Like I started off using Vimeo and then I went to YouTube. Why do people use Vimeo?
So people use Vimeo because it's a different kind. It has like a different ethos as a platform. Like when you go on YouTube, like it's pushing loads of adverts and like different videos and so it's trying to overstimulate you into like finding out what it is that you're interested in. Whereas Vimeo is set up so that like you can just go and watch a video and you're just thinking about, well, it's more like you're watching a film rather than a video. So it's kind of a bit more minimalist in that it's just trying not to overstimulate people and let the art speak for itself.
So any more questions from that group, from Paul, John and Tamsin? Was that okay? Great. So that leaves Mary, Nathan and Valerie. So what questions do you have for Josh?
All right, I guess I can go. All right, so first of all, thank you so much for this workshop. There have been so many aha moments. I've written them all down and beautiful visuals. Yeah, so one of our questions was, how many different platforms would you recommend that we post in at the same time, and under the assumption that it takes time to post in different places? And I feel like if, let's say, I were to post to like 9 different sites, then I won't be able to post quickly enough or consistently enough in any one of those sites. I'd be spreading myself too thin and the algorithm wouldn't like the lack of consistency. So like where is that the peak between not enough versus too many platforms?
Okay, so there's an app or similar apps that you can use called like Hootsuite. Okay. Like Hoot as in kind of like an owl, sweet as in a sweet. But like a sweet as in a room, not sweet as in a candy. Where you can like set things up to like batch post like across multiple platforms. I don't know if there's a penalty to using that in any of those ways, but I'd actually suggest you kind of think about where you want to live online, and just make a choice. And that might be choosing like 2 platforms, that might be choosing 3. Like if you're getting to a point where you're scaling as a business, it's good to be everywhere, because you never know where your audience is going to come from. But when you're just working like as like a startup, it's best to just choose where you feel comfortable posting and interacting, basically. You don't want to spread yourself too thin.
Thank you. Yeah, that definitely relates to something that Valerie brought up, but I can let her bring it up if she wants. In terms of like, I'm thinking, okay, it's one thing for me to post in different places, but I would want to adjust my message according to the personality style of that platform. And so I feel like that takes even more work.
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess you'd want to keep your online voice consistent, because if people are seeing you in different places, they want to feel familiar. Like if you're going like to Twitter, like, hey, what up, guys? And then like posting like, here's my video on like LinkedIn or something. It's like, it's a weird message. It's a weird vibe. But like, maybe you like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks.
Gosh, yeah, lots of I'm starting to have all sorts of questions going through my mind about how I use social media actually as well. So are there any other questions from that group? Nathan, Valerie?
Yeah, one of my question was, what I was expecting from this is to have an understanding of this MBTI profile will do that on social media, will go to this platform. Is it something we're going to cover today or maybe not?
No, sorry.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Right.
This is more about, how we as type practitioners can use social media, but not related to type as such.
Okay.
Although that would probably be an interesting topic for another webinar,
Yeah.
actually.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember with Reddit, they found that the least common represented type was ESTJs. So they have other stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There is
Okay.
a lot of research out there as well saying similar things. I just can't remember top of my head. Extroverted sensing, particularly unrepresented online, generally, as I recall. Surprise, surprise.
Very interesting. Thank you. So probably I'm in the wrong place. So I'm going to leave you and wish you a good end of the day. It was very interesting. And looking forward to one on Myers-Briggs and social media if we do one day. At least I open some ideas. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks, Valerie. Goodbye.
Bye. See you soon.
Great. So I think that's all the questions, Josh. So, and I think now you're going to look at some social media.
Yeah, thanks for the questions, by the way, guys. They were good. And I'll get back to you, Chris, on the Facebook transferring page thing. Okay, let's have a little look. Okay, so all right, so the third section is pretty heavy on practical tips for YouTube. I'm basically going to, here are 2 practical ways you can make sure that the YouTube algorithm pushes your videos instead of cat videos, and like basically create the web that like gets the videos all stuck together. So like here on like BritPsych, we've got like the conference trailers, and if I just click on this video here, then it goes to like it shows me a bunch of videos which it thinks I'm going to be interested in, which is basically like girl pop and like self-help talks and stuff. But if I was to click on the conference trailers, it basically puts all of the videos like in one column, and it actually, like, when it plays through, it will go I look forward to seeing you. To the next video. It will auto play. So from now on, basically, I always want you to like go into the playlist, click on the video, and then sell online and copy the link, which is in the playlist part, because it's different than it is to when you click on it individually. You see here where it says like index equals 1 and it's got a bunch of other stuff. That doesn't happen when you click on the video individually. But when I share this link with you now, it will basically play through the whole playlist. So basically, whenever you share a video, you want to be sharing it from a playlist that you've created of your content, which you can also mix with other people's content as well. And you can create like multiple playlists for like different stuff. So I think
Josh, I have a quick question, if that's all right then. So when you upload a video, you just copy the link. So when I upload a video, I copy the link and I save that, but I upload the video to a playlist. Are you saying that that link that I've copied isn't actually the link I should be sharing?
It's basically you want to share it from the playlist. Sorry, I think I might have.
Once it's in the playlist.
Yeah, once it's in the playlist.
Okay.
So if I click on this here,
what exactly is normality?
It just gives me like the video individually.
Yeah.
If I click on the playlist, which has been created, and then I click on the video, it gives me a completely different URL.
Yeah.
Which then allows it to like play through a bunch of other videos.
So that would be the URL. If I wanted to share a video, I should share that URL rather than the earlier one. Thanks.
Yeah. And then the second way that we're going to make the videos kind of sticky to each other.
Sorry, Josh, quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Is there a similar technique if you're sharing a video from a channel rather than a playlist?
So if you're sharing the video,
if you have a video channel.
Yeah. Oh, one moment, sorry, I think you...
Sorry, hit the view button. If you have a video channel and you want to keep people within your channel, but you haven't created a playlist, can you do something similar by clicking on the video within the channel, or is it only from a playlist that this works?
I think this only works from a playlist.
Fair enough.
I think so. I might have to go.
That's all right. Just
go back and double check. But
I could play around with that.
Sure. So the second way is in the YouTube editor. Is you can basically change the end screen of the video, and this doesn't happen automatically. If you don't put this in, like the video will just stop, and then we'll go to like a completely other, like random video at the end.
Why do I care so much what?
Yeah. So basically, you can choose which videos or playlists you want to put in specifically. So like I could choose a different playlist to go in here. I can also choose to like publicize a channel. So this was a video with Linda Barons. So I've put Linda Barons' channel in here. And then it's got like you have to put a custom message in it, which will appear when you hover over it. And YouTube basically gives you points for recommending other people's channels, because it's like, oh, someone's trying to actively construct an experience here. There's a conversation happening between this community. And then, yeah, that's good for your channel, basically. Hey. So the other tip is to, the second tip is to be intentional about your video thumbnails. So if you verify your YouTube account with a Google account number, you get the opportunity to upload thumbnails, which you don't get if you haven't verified your account. So in terms
Josh, you are breaking up a little bit at the moment. I'm not sure why that is. Can everybody hear me at the moment? I guess you can. Give me a wave. Yeah, okay. Josh is frozen. Don't know why. I don't know if Josh knows he's frozen.
He probably thinks we've all frozen.
Right, possibly, yeah. I'll just send him a quick message.
Would it help if we had our cameras off?
I don't know.
Probably not, because it'll be his connection.
Okay.
He's actually left the call, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming he will come back in, hopefully any minute now, and enable us to carry on. I'll actually stop recording for a moment.
Okay. So here's an example of someone who's basically got their thumbnail game down. So Kelly Stamps. So like in this video, basically she's got a title, but she never repeats the same information in the thumbnail that she does as the title. So basically, like, your brain looks at that and it looks like it's juicy with content because you don't know what's going to like happen in the video. She also like, always uses like a headshot because the brain is also really attracted to faces. Whereas like to compare it.
Somebody's still microwaving.
Oh, yeah.
They're microwaving and putting down.
Visa's channel. If this loads.
Josh, we have, I don't know if you can still hear me. We've sort of lost the picture of you at the moment, but I think your voice is still there. No, Josh's voice might not be still there either.
Yeah, his picture is frozen.
Yeah. Oh, this is very unfortunate. This is the first time this sort of thing has happened at our webinars. Again, I think we'll give it a few minutes and share any knowledge we all might have amongst ourselves while we're waiting for, hopefully, Josh to come back. Yeah, he has actually left, I think, so I guess he's going to come back in. Hopefully, he's going to run down the stairs and tell people to stop using the microwave.
Yeah. I typically put a post-it note right on the microwave button, to the start button, saying with a big X saying no one uses.
Carry on where you left off.
Sure. Can you give me the screen share?
Oh yeah, sorry, I certainly will. Yep. Make you co-host. There we go. Right. So hopefully you should be able to share again now.
Okay. So just a quick example, like Visa's video of like I recreated myself one step at a time, and where it just says recreating myself, it's less it's like repeating information in a way that like Kelly Stamps stuff isn't, where she's just stimulating on like multiple like levels in terms of like what she's writing. And then so tip number 3 is to on your YouTube channel basically to have a good face picture and then to comment on other people's videos because it's a good way to support the community and 2, it basically makes all of your stuff discoverable to their audience too. So for example, like the World Socionics Society has like commented on a couple of VACT's videos and that's kind of good because some people who are interested in type might also be interested in like socionics type as well. And really like BAP should be commenting on their videos as well so that it's like sharing audiences. And then tip number 4 is basically just to use all of the, it's like all the SINTE like details basically. you should use the description box to like tell YouTube what your video is, because that's going to help people discover it. And you should also like tell it that like it's not for kids. YouTube Kids is a completely different other world. About like 82 years worth of footage gets uploaded to YouTube every day, I think it is. It's like all like every hour. I can't remember quite which way the fact is, but it's crazy. And just like filling in simple things like saying, oh, this YouTube video is in English, immediately like tells all of the other YouTube worlds that aren't English speaking, oh, this doesn't need to be in your search terms unless people are looking for it specifically. So all the extra details of filling things out, really, it's good to get into the habit of, because it goes a long way. 82 years worth of footage every hour. That was the statistic. Crazy. Nobody has that much time to watch YouTube the whole time. Okay, so that's those are the tips, and let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, I had one in the chat. So especially in that screen you were showing, how important is it to include hashtags? Because I know in some posts they'll put like 10 hashtags for every post. Does that actually help the algorithm much?
I don't, okay, so I don't know. I imagine that it does. I would imagine that using tons of hashtags would like make it seem like it wasn't necessarily engaging, or it was just trying to spam too many things. Okay. So maybe just picking like 2 to 3 hashtags.
Yeah. I think when I posted videos, or I remember there was something I read on YouTube that said hashtags don't really help you get more views.
Mm.
But then why did they put a spot for them? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd read somewhere that if you use hashtags, you use 2 or 3. Don't use 10, because it kind of makes people not look at it. Whereas a hashtag of a word worth highlighting just brings it to people's attention, or they might do a search on that phrase.
I think you can also you can add the area which you uploaded the video from as well, so then it becomes discoverable by like geography, although I don't know how many people actually use that feature.
I've got a quick question, Josh. Obviously, we've talked a lot about YouTube, and you may have said this at the beginning when I was busy doing other things or thinking about the meeting. But why have you chosen to talk mainly about YouTube? Is it because it's video content rather than, so, sorry, I won't assume. Why have you chosen to talk about YouTube mainly?
So 2 or 3 reasons. The first reason is because YouTube is kind of timeless compared to the other social medias, and you can use it to interconnect all of your videos together, so you don't have to perpetually post. The second reason is because I know the most about it compared to the other ones. And the third reason is that YouTube helps you use the platform, and basically gives you access to information about like where people are watching your video from in the world, whether they're clicking through like through different like thumbnails. It tells you where people have come to your video from, whereas like I think maybe some of the other social medias might have tools like that, like Instagram creator tools. I'm not sure, but I know that YouTube is very generous about like trying to teach people how to use the platform, and they will publish stuff like on YouTube creators to like help people develop it. So it's a really good place to start, because there's a lot of resources out there that you could look at further from today to continue it as a practice.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I think you did actually say most of that at the beginning. It's coming back to me now.
That's okay.
But yeah.
Just a question about YouTube. You commented that the content's basically timeless. It's evergreen content, ideally, that people keep going back to, or they'll search for it in 5 years' time and still find your videos interesting. So would that mean that it's not advisable to post the adverts for the conference?
No, it basically means that if you want to use like paid adverts, you can kind of go back to it, and it doesn't really, it doesn't matter so much if you posted it 3 years ago if the content is still good.
Yeah, you got to choose the right content. If it's a conference trailer,
yes,
you don't want it to be just come to our conference in April.
Yes, yeah, you want to be providing like value more than you're providing like marketing for like a specific event. Like about 80% of what you should do is like a marketing principle. It's just providing usefulness upfront, and then like 20% is like trying to sell people on something.
Yeah, 80-20 is a good rule. Just say, would you want to be watching this 2 Christmases from now?
Yeah.
Okay, what other questions are there for Josh? I think Teresa's got a question.
Josh, can you talk at all, and the answer might be no, which is fine, about any measurement of how YouTube, obviously with the other social media that has to go with it, can create value for, I mean, there's such a wide range of businesses. People here tend to be consultants, so they're looking for about building personal relationships. I've got a book, so I've got a slightly different thing to sell. Is there any sort of general understanding about what you can achieve, you know, the measurable responses for different types of product or service areas, and where it just builds relationships and where it actually sells things?
I don't know, but I'd imagine it's very different for lots of different businesses. Like for example, a personality hacker, like in the type community, like they've like they have a course that they run, and then people like travel all over the world to like go to it. But like part of that is that they've set up their garden of content on like Spotify and YouTube, and they're using it to like build interest, which then eventually leads to like a lot of trust, which then leads to like people traveling from quite far away. So it's not too much of a stretch to imagine that could also apply to kind of people's like book sales or like courses or coaching, because it's basically you're trying to create stuff with the desire to create trust between you and a complete stranger. So like if you like with your book, like you could read segments, or you could talk about it, you could talk about the process of writing it, you could talk about like you could basically share tidbits from the book, and then have that as like your body of content, and it doesn't have to be the whole thing. You can just be kind of gearing people towards the sale.
Thank you. I will just throw in that I was lucky enough to do a TED Talk, and that is a wonderful machine that just keeps rolling on. And as you say, that is timeless content. They don't seem that they try not to make it obvious how old these things are, and you know, ideas are timeless. So that's right. And I'm sorry if can I ask a supplementary question, Catherine, which is you mentioned Spotify, and podcasts are another field. I don't know if that's anything you have anything to do with. I have occasionally been asked to take part in a podcast, and I would, you know, because I've got ideas I want to talk about. It's ideal for what I'm trying to sell. And I can discover is that people who are pushing themselves forward to be in podcasts are exactly the people that nobody wants to have, because they're not the right sort of people. And I don't know what the trick is to get yourself invited for more, other than doing some, if you see what I mean.
I'm not sure. Yeah, like you'd need to like figure out the creative process of like how you wanted to like do a podcast, basically. But Spotify is good in that basically over the pandemic, the biggest shift in terms of people consuming media was that people shifted to like listening to podcasts and audio because it meant that they could do stuff at the same time. So it's like it is massive, it is popular. Like it's a way that people like to engage.
I guess you could always take the audio portion of your YouTube video and put it on a podcast, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly, yes. That's CS Joseph does that. Personality Hacker do that. I'm sure there's other, I think Megan Lavota does that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing you can do if you want to be on a podcast is look for people that are podcasting in your area, you know, on your topics, people who are likely to, rather than having to do your own, just get invited on. But obviously it needs to be someone who's going to be interested, you know, where your theme fits what they already do. Not that I've been on any podcasts yet, but
I think one of the problems is how do you get through to them when another million people are trying to do the same thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh well, you're not necessarily trying to find a million people so much as you're trying to find the right people, like your fans who are already out there. But just
I didn't mean that. What I actually discovered was that if you think you could have something to contribute to a podcast, there will be a lot of other people. How do you get through that huge competition? Yes, it's competition. Well, I just found it very interesting getting publicity. They have to find you normally. You can't find them because if you're a one voice, there's a million other people with one voice trying to make the same.
It's probably networking, Teresa, is my guess. Yeah. It's just luck, really, that you know the right people at the right time who suddenly hear that they're interested. You know, they're interested in what you're doing. Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah.
I actually went to a webinar on how to get on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about really understanding the show and what the audience. The host understands what they're trying to communicate to the audience. So you have to try and show them how you can deliver the same type of message to their audience and serve their audience's needs.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
If I could add to this, I think there's bigger podcasts and smaller podcasts. And if let's say you're having trouble getting onto the big ones, maybe start off getting into the small ones and then work your way from there. And then you can show these podcasters, hey, I've been on other podcasts. This is the kind of insights I can bring to yours, if you'd like.
Yeah. Yes,
like
great.
Maybe Personality Hacker and other podcasts that are about type.
Yes.
You could have just maybe
and actually they did say at the end of their conference presentation last year at our conference, they did say, you know, drop them an email if you're interested in being on their podcast. So yeah,
because I imagine people who do podcasts are always looking for new material, and therefore you're the new material.
Yeah.
And there aren't 1,000 people trying to say what you're going to say.
No, it's just the practical question of how do you get in touch with them? You can listen to them, but how do you actually contact them? And secondly, how do you differentiate yourself from all the competition? Because there are a lot of people who think they ought to be on podcasts.
Yeah. So I've just noticed Sarah has put in the chat that she's been on a small podcast. I think that's what it says there. I'm guessing that Sarah can't actually communicate with us at the moment, which is probably why she's posted that in the chat. I'm conscious of the time and of Josh's time especially. And so, Josh, is there anything else that you wanted to tell us or anything else? And I will ask as well if there's any other questions. But Josh, is there anything that you want to say or anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I don't think so. I just wanted to thank you all for like your questions and stuff. I don't have FE, so I forgot to thank people as I was going.
No, don't worry. I've got very inferior FE, so yeah.
Sarah's got her hand up.
Yeah.
I know I've kind of skidded in late to this, and I
Hi, Sarah.
apologise. Anyway, I would love to know, Josh, what you see on YouTube that makes you go, "Oh no, that's just awful." I'd love to know what is the cringe stuff for you.
I mean, I guess like I've got to a point where like my YouTube doesn't show me that much cringe content. Like YouTube over time is developing a sense of who you are and the things that you like because of what you pay attention to. And essentially what you pay attention to, you will just start to see more of. It's just although I think maybe more what your question was kind of like angling towards was like, as a content creator, what are the things that would put you off listening to? So I guess it would probably be the amount of time spent for the value of the information that I'm getting. So like the more the faster I'm getting like useful information, the more likely I am to be like hooked on it. And there's loads of different ways that you could do that, but it's a whole creative process. Yeah, I mean, I guess what would the things that would be cringe in the content are things that would like reduce trust in some way. But those could be so many different things, and like the audience could be coming from so many different places that you wouldn't necessarily know what it was. So I think my FI answer would just be to be sincere about.
I was just about to say that's very FI. That's very FI. That's great though. That's great. But it is interesting the kind of quickness. You've got to get in there fast. Yes. I think you've got to get in there fast because so much of content I click on and I'm like, oh no, off. You have to do it quickly. Thank you.
Yes. That's a really good point. So there's actually, I don't know if the window margins on this have shrunk, but there's like 3 like attention like markers that people have to get through. So you have to be interested in within the first 3 seconds. And then I think it goes up to like within the next, I can't remember what the actual figure was. I think it was like 7 seconds. And then it was like 15 seconds. But if you get past 15 seconds, about half of those people will make it halfway to your content, through your content. People do click off stuff, people get bored. Like it's normal to look at a YouTube retention graph and for it to just be like starting high and just going downhill all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So are there any final questions for Josh? I'm conscious of the time because at the beginning I promised we would not run over an hour and a half, but it's rather nice that we are getting close to that because it does show that we've had some interesting debate and some, you know, Josh has answered some important questions for us. But are there any other final questions, burning questions from anyone? Teresa, do you?
We did wonder if he would like to tell us if he offers anything that we should be aware of in terms of what he does.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a freelance animator by the daytime. I'm doing some work with BAPT at the moment on a video for like sensing and intuition, but I also do graphic design in the background and voice work as well. Yeah.
So being practical, you could create a video using somebody else's content without using their face, if you like.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. So I can do edit it. Yeah, I describe myself as like a one-man studio because I just do like a little bit of everything.
So Josh, just to be clear then, so if anybody in this group today is interested in having a chat to you about possibly doing something with them, would you be open to having a conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can contact me so my website is joshleach.co.uk. That's Leach. It's on my name banner there. And then my email is josh@joshleach.co.uk.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you so much, Josh, for doing this for us tonight. I've learnt loads of things. I've got 2 pages of notes here, which I hope I'll be able to implement. If I can implement one new thing, that'll be good. So thank you ever so much for doing this for us, and thank you everybody for participating and staying the course despite a few technical difficulties. Hope to see you at some other events coming up over the next 6 months or so. Check the website out to see what's on, look at Typeface, watch e-news, etc., to see what we've got going on. But there's always something going on. So thanks very much. I'm going to stop recording now.